Welcome to Daggercast. It is I, your host, Lindsey Charles, lead singer of the Cell Phones, among many other things, lover of talking, lover of horror, and here we are. This is a little bit later of an episode release than we were wanting, but I got COVID. That shit's still out there. It's the beast that will not be defeated. So stay safe out there because it's still there. In your local children's museum, which is where I think I got it. Either that or my toddler, not quite sure. But it did suck, so be safe. As always, you can find Daggercast on every social media platform. We are on all the streaming whatsies, and if you ever have any questions or concerns or comments or want to be interviewed because you love horror, please do email me at daggercastinfo@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. Some things that I want to say before I get into the interview here is some stuff that I watched in the TV world. Obviously, The Last of Us was just brilliant, front to back. Bravo to everyone involved. You love to see a video game series thrive. And we all inherited a father out of it, so that's kind of nice. You know what I'm talking about. I also very much liked the Waco documentary on Netflix. I was not aware of how absolutely brutal and violent that was, and I thought that it was just some crazy religious people being idiots. But actually, it turns out the cops were pretty idiotic as well. And not like apologizing about it at all. So it's kind of an interesting tale of like just our justice system kind of gone wrong, and it's an American train wreck. That's what it freaking is. And a bunch of kids get killed in the process, which just really sucks. Things I'm excited for. There's a movie out there called Ennismen, that looks like it was filmed literally in like the 70s, but it wasn't. It was filmed recently. Apparently there's no words and it's terrifying. So I'm really excited to see that. Inside with Willem Dafoe, that is they're not calling it a horror, they're calling it a thriller. But anytime Willem Dafoe is trapped in something, that sounds terrifying. Just the premise of it being like, you know, an art stealer like going into a house to steal art and then being trapped in it, that sounds terrifying to me. Also the new Evil Dead movie, every time I watch a trailer of it I get afraid, so really excited to see that. Also a fun nugget from the past. My husband and I went, we just watched on our couch, high as kites, Blair Witch 2. I had no desire to ever watch this movie, but it is a great time capsule of the late 90s or whatever the hell it was. No cultural representation of any kind that I can recall. Don't even know if there were people of color in it. It was pretty like white Maryland goth crap. Queens of the Stone Age there was like a whole montage of them doing a bunch of drugs to Queens of the Stone Age. It was just so on point. It's a good, I would say watch it with friends and just laugh at how we thought what those people were doing was cool, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, let's get to me interviewing somebody. I had the wonderful pleasure of speaking to Clare Cooney, who is a actor and filmmaker, a wonderful filmmaker. She as an actor, she was in Chicago Med, Chicago PD. She one of them Chicago people, though I do believe she lives in LA right now. She was also in the Steve McQueen movie Widows, which is pretty cool. And she has recently been doing a lot of filmmaking. She did a wonderful short thriller called Runner, which I think everyone should watch. It's on YouTube for free, so please watch it. The it's just so tense, and it was so good, and I talked about it a lot in the interview. She also did some short films, one called Pickup and one recently called After, that she's very proud of. But also recently she has completed filming for the full-length film called Departing Seniors, written by a Daggercast alum, Jose Nateras, which I'm so excited has been filmed. And also you might hear a little cell phone song in it. But I am very excited to show you this interview with Clare Cooney. I think she is possibly the future of film, and I'm just very excited to know her and to talk to her. So here's the interview. Thank you guys so much. Well, hello, Clare.
Hello.
I thank you so much for being on the show. I very much appreciate it. I want to start by just starting at the beginning. You mentioned in your email to us that you didn't start watching horror films or anything like horror films until you were in college. So tell me a little bit about that and why.
Oh, yeah. So I was at like a birthday party when I was, I don't know, maybe like 8 or 9, and maybe I was older. I have no idea. But they watched The Sixth Sense, and it was like traumatizing for me. It was so scary. I remember I left the room and I was like, I called my mom and I was like, "Can you pick me up?" Like I was that girl. Like I was
Oh,
really really afraid. And so then I just was, a lot of my friends in high school were really into horror, and like, so what kind of stuff did they watch? They watched a lot of like they watched Scream, but they also watched like The Shining and The Ring and all these classic films. And I saw like bits and pieces, and I usually was walking in without that much context in like the most horrific moment of the film or the most visually disturbing image or whatever it was, and I was just like completely scared shitless, and I was just like, I'm not a horror girl, you know.
do you remember the scene in The Sixth Sense that got you?
Oh, I don't even know. I honestly think it was almost like the psychological aspect of it, like the kid. I don't remember because I literally have been so traumatized by it. I was so traumatized by it, that that's one of the few ones I haven't. I know what happened, but I
Sure.
still to this day have not seen it because
Because,
that's how chicken shit I am
well,
of that movie.
wow. Yeah, because
Even though I know it's not one of the scariest ones necessarily. It's just like depending on what your brand of scary is, you know? It was like
yeah.
that. There's something so unsettling about it that, yeah, I couldn't handle it. I think now I'd be fine. I think that now, because I had to do so much like research for departing seniors,
Hmm.
I'm much more I've watched so many more scary films than I thought I would, and now I'm much more comfortable. I think so. Maybe I'll watch it again, and then I'll have to tell you what moment was the
Cool. Because,
scariest
yeah,
thing.
there are, I think I saw that movie in the theater with my mom, and I think we both were pretty like freaked out and thinking about it
Yeah.
like the rest of the day. And my mom was really into Munchausen by proxy. My mom works in childcare.
Mm,
So the whole
yeah.
idea of like making your child sick to keep them caring or keep them needing
Right.
you
Right.
was like absolutely crazy. It was a crazy idea. And so when that part of the movie happened,
Yeah.
mom and I both were like holding on to each other, like freaking out. But cool. Yeah.
Absolutely. I remember there was a scene in the car where it was like, ah, man, I forget what he says. It's like, let him go, or
Oh no.
yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna
It's really
cry.
bad. Yeah,
I'm
that
gonna
part
cry.
was really, really upsetting.
And of course,
Yeah.
to what, Toni Collette was his mom, right? Like
Yeah. And now
she
she's like the
just
horror queen.
she's
Yeah.
like the horror queen. She's in like a like a funny movie coming out, like where she's like
Is
she
she?
yeah, she like Matt like suddenly becomes like through a death in the family, becomes like the dawn of an Italian mafia.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen commercials for this. Yeah, no, I mean, to me, she's always horrifying. Like even in dramas, but I mean, she was in what was that HBO drama that was about the documentary about the guy who killed his wife? To push
Oh,
his wife, the staircase.
oh, the staircase,
Uh,
dude.
and
That
she,
was it
yeah,
was
and
amazing.
she's amazing in that, but she's horrifying in that too.
Well,
She's
yeah, and
horrifying in
watching,
everything.
like, you get to watch her die like 3 times.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, like, it's perfect for her because you're like, all right, let's watch a woman literally get murdered 3 times in 3 different ways. And she was perfect.
She's a pro. Yeah, she's a pro.
Yeah, and
But
all
yeah,
the,
so
yeah,
yeah,
all the high tension, like, oh, she was so good. Well, that's
no,
okay.
she's incredible. Yeah,
So then you, so I guess like it's more of like it's more the psychological horror
I
that
think so.
you.
I think so, but like I saw it as like with a broad brush. I thought the whole thing was just too scary for me,
Mhm.
and so I avoided it all for a long time. And then in college, in a film class, I had to watch Let the Right One In, and I thought it was absolutely stunning. Like I thought it was
Mhm.
just gorgeous in every way, and like so affecting and so um it like changed the way I thought horror had to operate.
Mhm.
Because there were so many horrifying things in it, but it hit a different part of my body than the things I'd seen previously. And I just rewatched it like a year ago, and it still is, I think, one of my favorites. It's so powerful and so good.
I agree because it's very. I don't know because it's again it's an old trope. It's vampires, but it's like
Right.
done. It's done in a way where suddenly it's a child, and suddenly it's
Yeah. And
like
you're
a
rooting for the vampire. Like
exactly.
you're rooting for the vampire. And that doesn't always happen. And like the bad guys in that movie are the bullies. It's not the
Mhm.
vampire, you know. And that was interesting for me to watch before directing Departing Seniors, because Departing Seniors, like there's the bad guys, but a big part of the film is like there are bullies that are really bad people. And that's who we're supposed to hate the most in a lot of ways, but at the same time we're supposed to, I mean, my goal is always to humanize every character, even the villains, even like the most awful ones. And so I thought that Let the Right One In did a really good job of that, of every single character feeling like really three-dimensional and really
Mhm.
fleshed out, and no one was simple at all, and it was really complex. You didn't know who you were kind of, whose side you were on all the time, you know.
Yeah, I think, and it's funny because I feel like even just regular straight like comedy, it was such a like when Girls came out, it was such a crazy concept to be like they're crazy, they're not, they don't have it together, they don't know what's going on, they're not perfect, like pictures of what they like. But I feel like horror was doing that from the very beginning in the sense where, yeah, you had a bad guy, good guy, monster, not monster, but like things were more complex than that. And it's funny when mainstream shows are like,
Mhm.
they're complex characters, and it's like, yep, yep.
Right. It's like we're all messy in life, so why are we
Yeah.
not showing that messiness or complexity on the screen as
Yeah,
well?
and
And
and I
like,
think
yeah,
horror, it was like, okay, you want a messy, complex character? It's a monster. Like, he's messy and
right,
he's
right.
complex because he's a monster. But it's like, I feel like horror has kind of, and was maybe the one of the front runners to do it, was to be like, oh wait, actually, like everyone's messy, and
Yeah.
sometimes horror happens um despite despite all of the messy, or because you're, because you're messy mentally, because you're messy like in a.
Well, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think like there's just something so powerful about this like young girl with blood all over her mouth and face kissing, even though she's not a girl, she keeps saying I'm not a girl,
Hmm.
kissing this boy who collects newspaper clippings of murder and is like obsessed with murder and yet would never hurt a fly. Like it's just it's such a fucking evocative, like complicated relationship. And
Hmm.
yeah, I love that. And that one is one that I was able to watch partially because it doesn't have like the jump scares, it doesn't have the like, it's so quiet. You know, the tension of the film exists through just the characters, and the quietness is supposed to being through score and all that kind of stuff. And so at the time when I was still kind of a horror newbie, I was able to watch that film because it like didn't upset my body in the way that a traditional horror film does,
Hmm.
and yet it was able to upset my mind, but I was able to like metabolize it more easily, if that makes sense. It wasn't as upsetting for me in the moment, like even though it was upsetting in the long run. And I've been thinking about that film for years, clearly.
Yeah.
You know, but
It's funny
yeah,
what
that
what you described was very much how I felt when watching your short film Runner.
oh
Um
good, thank you so much.
yeah, because it was very and 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 just to kind of not to like spoiler alert or whatever, but the
Spoiler.
the short film is about a runner who witnesses a murder or something bad happening to someone.
Yes.
Um and basically is alone in a Chicago alley with the person who did it, whether accidentally or not. Um
Right.
but what I really loved about that, um like especially, I mean, I loved the characters because of the complexity of their interaction with each other. The I think you did a wonderful job is just explaining the everyday tension of something like that.
Yeah.
um I used to live in Chicago, and so it was very it really hit me in a weird place because there was like one day where I was riding my bike home, and a guy, not with a, no turn signal, I'm in the bike
Yeah.
lane, just decides to turn right and right into me. Not like in a it wasn't like it didn't hurt because I was kind of going that way too, but I was just
But
going
still,
straight and he was
yeah.
going right. And I remember screaming at him. I remember yelling and yelling, and I think I remember the guy rolling his window down and going, "Sorry," and me just being like, "Fuck it," like just
Yeah.
screaming. But the scene of when she comes home and she's like, "Ah!" like in
That
a
adrenaline. Yeah.
an insane panic, like that's exactly how I came home. Like I rode my bike home in kind of like autopilot, like I just need to get home.
Mhm.
And the second I got home, I disintegrated,
Yeah.
thinking like something horrible could have happened to me. And so it was really like just that scene of her coming home after, like, running for fun and then suddenly running for her
For
life.
your life. Yeah.
um
Mhm.
it really hit me in a way where I was like, "Oh shit, that happened." And like
Oh wow.
I
Yeah.
could feel my own, like, my own panic, because it's like Chicago's great. I love Chicago so much. But there were moments like that where it was literally like, "Oh wow, if I had done that, I would have died." Like I've had
I could have
friends who,
died. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, like I have friends that have gotten hit by cars and have had to, do months and months of rehabilitation, and friends who have been on bikes that have, just really bit it and then got back on that bike. Um, even though it takes you a good long time to not be so noodly in your legs. And so, um, yeah,
Yeah.
I really liked,
Oh,
that's
thank
kind
you.
of, yeah, absolutely. It was a really, really great short film. The tension was there the whole time. Though when I was watching it and she's in that, it also the bar trivia, I'm like, "Yep, I used to do that."
Right? I
Um,
know.
and it was kind of funny because the whole time I was like, "I would have walked away. I would have called the cops. I would have been like, 'He's
I
here.
know.
Come get
I
him.'"
know.
But then it
I
was like,
know.
what even happens after that, and what does that even look like? So
Right. Yeah.
I thought the ending was very interesting, but also like, yeah, I don't it was
People all have like fought online. I love like the comment section. People are like, she should have done this, she should have done
uh-huh.
that. No, it should be more like, you know, and I love that. I think and anything that evokes a response, for me is kind of the goal, that people can like describe and again, she's a flawed character and I
Mhm,
like depicting
exactly.
flawed characters, you know.
The second she responds to him, I was like,
Hmm.
"Oh, like I've been over here rooting and feeling really sorry for this girl that I'm like, now I don't know." Like,
Right.
so
Right.
yeah,
Right.
really,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, I really liked that. I thought, I could definitely tell it was very Hitchcockian, like for the now, which
Yeah,
I very
absolutely.
much liked. So when you emailed and said "Let the Right One In" was one of your faves, I was like, okay, I kind of understand like your
Yeah,
flavor of horror.
I love that quiet tension, and I like it in everything. I like it, and because I mean, I'm usually more of a thriller girl. I've only recently become more into horror, and I even still I'm much more into like the horror thriller kind of crossovers. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's something that's like my fave. Because I like tension, so if they can cut it with a knife. And I also like
Mm.
incorporating that kind of tension into any genre. Like I think that dramas need to have tension. Like that's what makes a drama work. And if it doesn't have tension, it's just, it's saccharine or it's boring or it's melodramatic, and so
Absolutely.
that I think tension is the key to like everything, which is why I think, when Jose asked me to direct his movie, I was like, yeah, but I mean, send me a list because I've only seen it like 5 horror films in my freaking life. And so, like, I need to prepare. And he was like, yeah, but we know you can tackle tension well and you can tackle storytelling well. And that's what we're, but that's what we want. I was like, okay, great. And so then I was like, great, send me some homework and I'm going to start to dig in. And that was a lot of fun.
That makes perfect sense. Well, let's talk
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
You have directed a movie called Departing Seniors, written by
Yes.
Daggercast alum Jose Nateras.
Whoop,
We
whoop.
did talk about him writing this script and getting it kind of off the ground when we interviewed him quite a while ago, though. I am so excited and very honored to have a song in it. That
Not just a song, like your song is like the main song.
get the fuck what?
Like it's like used several times in the film, and it's like a recurring song. Yeah, it's
Oh
cool.
my god!
Like it's featured. Yeah, for sure.
Holy shit! Oh, that makes me so happy and kind of sad that I gave it to you for free. I'm joking.
No, it really shines. I think you'll be really excited with how it's used. Like it's used. I don't want to give too much away, but it's used in scenes evoking like danger and like we were inspired by the way like certain songs are used in like Final Destination and Scream that are like these repeated songs
Ooh,
that
yeah.
kind of are a premonition of things to come, and so that mixing of like horror score with a pop song was definitely a part of our goal, and your song is used in that way a couple times, so yeah.
Dude, you are
You'll be excited, I think.
you are fulfilling a dream. You're literally fulfilling a dream for me. I've always wanted my song in horror movie used as like, not as I wrote, like
Right,
something
like
cheerful,
not
but
twee.
make
Yeah,
it
yeah.
make it make it gross. Do something horrible in it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I told this to Jared before we started to. He was like, "You saved that for the pod. Tell her on the pod." And I was like, "Okay, cool."
I'm so excited. Oh man. Yes, also shout out to Jared for musically directing this movie. Um we were so excited and like happy to be a part of this, especially because we appreciate Jose's like work so much, and I know he's worked so hard on this.
He really has. Yeah.
Tell me about how it was like work
Yeah.
directing this and filming this in Chicago. I hear you guys moved pretty quickly, so yeah.
Super, super quickly. Yeah, we filmed this in 16 days, which was insane. Our post-production or our pre-production time was very short. Like we found out that we were greenlit in like, I don't know, mid-June or something like that. And then we were like casting. And we locked our cast in mid-July and a couple of stragglers in late July. And then we booked all of our locations like in early August. Like it was like down to the wire. And then we filmed it. I think our first day of filming was like August 8th or 9th, I think. It's kind of a blur now, but we filmed for 16 days and it was crazy. Like a ton of locations, a ton of actors. It's like this classic high school comedy horror thriller thing that like I because we talked about it. We were saying like, is this more horror? Is it more thriller? Is it more comedy? But there's a lot of heart, a lot of drama. We're like, it is what it is. There's murder and there's fun and it's a high school, and so yeah, we love it.
And like the lines are blurring there, honestly.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah, I think
even
it's blurring more and more. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like sometimes horror movies are whodunits, and I'm like, to me, like a whodunit isn't a horror movie; it's a whodunit.
Right.
Like,
Right.
so it's kind of
Exactly.
funny.
Like what would you characterize like I mean like Knives Out, for instance. Like that's not a horror film,
No, not
but
a, that's a whodunit.
exactly.
But then like bodies, bodies, bodies was
Right.
but that was a whodunit, you know,
Exactly.
like in a silly way, but there was like more blood and more guts, I guess, in the latter. But it's like, again, you just kind of pick and choose. You say like, you know, I want a lot of
Yeah.
tension, but I also want blood. Horror.
Exactly. Right. Right. And then like, I could watch Get Out because for the majority of it, it's a thriller. It does,
Hmm.
the horror part of it doesn't seem to really hit. I mean, it's horrifying for a lot of it, and
Hmm.
that's so it's like one of those things where it's like, well, where's the line, right? But yeah,
Yeah.
so it's like this. I mean, it's a fun, campy movie, but it also deals with a lot of more serious themes, and
Can you
including
give
like
like a synopsis or a
yeah, so the film is about this high school senior who is being bullied at school, but he kind of doesn't care who he is, and him and his name is Javier, and his best friend Bianca. They're like kind of misfits, but they're proud of who they are. And one day he, is being bullied, and something happens, and he gets injured. And through this injury, he starts to have these psychic visions.
Ooh.
And through these visions, it becomes clear to him that a rash of supposed suicides that have been going on at the school are actually murders. And so it's
Oh.
up to him and his friend Bianca to kind of figure out who is killing these quote unquote departing seniors before it's too late. So it's like there is a bit of a whodunit in it, but I wouldn't characterize it as that. I don't even know, but I love it. I mean, I love the tone of it. I've watched it now more times than I can count because I've
Hmm.
cut the film along with my partner, Isabella, who
Nice.
she's amazing. And so I've watched it so many times, and yet I still will laugh at a certain moment I hadn't laughed at before, and I'll still be like, "Oh, that's fucking good," and then I'll kind of
Good.
get like I'll get anxiety at a certain part. I'll be like, "Oh, I think this part's scarier than I remember it being." So I'm really proud of it, and I'm pumped
That's
for
so
people to see
cool.
it. Yeah,
Well, and also, yeah, I agree. I feel like even with songwriting, sometimes like you'll write a song and you'll be like, "Ugh, yeah, I don't know about that one. I don't know if that one's making it. I don't know if that's making the album." But then one where I like every time we play it, I'm like, "Ooh, I felt something real good." I sang it that
mm-hmm.
one and then I like kind of cried a little and it's
Yeah.
like sometimes the guys are like, it's fine."
You're
Or
like,
so
"Wow, that's brilliant."
yeah, or like we'll play a song that I'm just kind of like blah blah blahing into, and then suddenly like Ryan's like, "Man, yeah, I
That
forgot
was the
how much I
one.
love, like I forgot how much I love playing this song," and I'm like, "Oh,
Right.
great, everybody's getting a
Right.
good thing out of it." Like I think that's really that's the mark of a good movie.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Absolutely.
so what like were you in this one or was this like a whole you just were
No.
directed alone?
No, because I mean it's mostly high schoolers, and
Ah,
I as much as I'd like to think I look like I'm 18, I do not. So I was like, no, and also it's my first length film, so I wanted to like
woo!
focus on being the director. So yeah, but it was so much fun. It was a huge cast, but with a bunch of like rising stars who are all in their early 20s, and they're all just kind of like starting to kick ass.
So cool.
And then one we've got a couple of adults, but not too many. But yeah, it's a really good crew and cast, and like everyone gave it their all. We didn't have a big budget, so we had a really diverse, passionate casting crew who all were like doing it because they loved it. And that's the best kind of set to be on, is a set where clearly everyone's just like a horror fan and everyone wants to serve the script and support the characters and all that kind of stuff. So it was great.
Nice. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Man, I cannot wait to watch this. What was the difference between, I guess, short film directing and long film directing?
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, not as much as I actually thought there would be. I was
Okay.
really scared because I thought to some extent, I was like, oh man, I'm going to have a feeling of like imposter syndrome, because I haven't done this before. And we're doing a very ambitious film. There are stunts, there's blood,
Mm,
there's weapons, there's large ensemble pieces, all that kind of stuff. So I thought, like, oh man, I'm going to be in over my head. And thankfully, I didn't feel like that. Thankfully, I felt very like it was just like filming 8 or 9 short films right in a row, and so it was more about the there was a lot more prep work involved for
Hmm.
sure. And uh it was a marathon in terms of like 16, 17-hour days. And then I get home and I'm still working on something. And then I wake up and I go again. But every morning I wasn't tired. Like every morning I leapt out of bed because there were a million things I had to do. You know, I had to like make sure that our shot list was going to be set and that like we didn't need to move things around in the schedule and blah 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 blah, blah, you know. So it was more about the endurance of it, to be honest, and less about any shift directorially.
Great.
Yeah.
No, that's so good to hear. Yeah, because it sounds like, yeah, a short film in itself sounds crazy, like sounds like a lot, and then a full, like just jumping into a full length just sounds crazy, but you seem so up for it, so that's awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
I was relieved that I stepped on set on day one and was like, oops, nope, I don't feel any kind of nerves. I'm good to go. Like I was so also there's no time to feel nervous or to not know what you're gonna do. You just have to start to go. And so that was nice to be like, well, too bad. If you wanted to be concerned or feel insecure, you gotta leave that behind because you have to serve this script and these characters. That's the only thing that's actually real here is like we're trying to bring a story to life. So let's put the focus on that. And so that was really helpful to take you outside of your own head, your own bullshit, you know.
yes. Oh, that's awesome. You're giving me like college directing class flashbacks.
Oh, really?
I just, but just stage directing, and I was never super good at it, but I do remember being like, man, this is like a different way to think about everything. Like, suddenly I'm
Yeah.
like, you kind of just get
It
to play
uses
like,
a lot of different parts of your brain at the same
mhm.
time, which is great.
Yeah. I feel like with acting, it's kind of like turning your brain off. Whereas I feel like directing is turning all of your brain on.
Like to high volume to like
Yeah.
max out, right? No, that's really true, and I have a problem doing that when I'm acting now because I've directed so much. Like I have issues leaving my director brain on the side and not thinking about like, well, what angle is the best for this moment? Should I lean forward? Should I lean backward? Should my hair be in front? I should be behind? Should my eye look at this angle because the camera's there? I know it'll be a cool direction. Should I ask the
Hmm.
director? Like no, it's not your freaking job. Your job is to be not worried about your job is to forget that a camera exists and just live and breathe as a human being and then let that up to the person behind the camera to take care of.
Yeah,
So I
like
have to constantly remind myself that.
you're reminding me of so when Natalie Portman had that master class, she was like one of the first people who was like, I'm Natalie Portman and this is my master class. And she was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
there's
yeah.
important like I'm reading a letter. I know I need to aim, like I need to like lean towards the camera so that I can see the
Like,
letter. And
no, that's not acting, Natalie.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Natalie, like you've been doing all of this entire time.
I
And I
know.
think it's
I
because she
know.
just was like, hey, I've been doing this since I was 9. Like it's
Exactly.
like I'm sure she can do that kind of thing.
Right.
Like the camera angle, good direction. Like I'm sure she can do that
Right.
on autopilot because she was literally a child. But
Yeah. I
when I
love her
saw
in that. What's that called? The movie she was in. That's so good. The
yeah,
professional.
the professional.
So good. Anyway,
Dude,
sorry, continue.
out of nowhere too. Like it was just kind of I
Yeah.
even remember being a kid and like watching that on like HBO and no one knew that I was watching it and just being like, well, this kid is cool. Why can't I
Yeah.
be cool like this kid? Like
She's such a badass. Yeah.
she
No, it's
is.
true. And like and all those things are important, but the like, the angles and the all that crap. But I do think for especially for newer actors who are taking this a master class or whatever,
Mhm.
they shouldn't the first step is to just exist in your body and be the character. And then once you're on set, if you've been doing it for long enough and you're having an issue, and most of the time the directors will let you know if you're not doing the right thing. But like I actually think that's those are things that are not your business unless you start to be so in the moment that you forget to like pick up the prop you need to like pick up or whatever. But the most important
Exactly.
thing is just to be genuine and be in the moment. So yeah.
Right? Hit your mark. That's all you got. Like
Hit your mark, say your lines, and go home. Yeah.
I love it. So I guess what's next for Departing Seniors now? So it's
Yeah,
done. Is it
it's
like done
done.
like fully done or
So right now our final color session is next week, and then our sound's done, score's done, pictures locked, all that kind of stuff. And so we'll be, fingers crossed, playing at some festivals coming up very soon and screening somewhere soon. But honestly, things are all very up in the air until we hear from festivals. We have no idea when or where. I wish I could drop it a note or an idea of when, but a poster and a trailer should be coming sometime soon. So I will absolutely blast those out to the whole world the moment we have those, because
Please
they'll be
do. I
really
will.
fun.
I mean, you've pretty much got like perpetual advertisers in the cell phones, because this will be
I love it.
this will be very big for us. This will be the official movie of the cell phones. We
Yes.
have what? We have an official pizza. It's black and green olives. We have an official drink. It's whiskey diet. So this will be our official movie.
Well, I was saying, I think it'd be really fun to put together like once the film's released, to release like a vinyl of all the songs in the film, like a soundtrack. But that's down the line. But I think it'd be really, really fun to kind of release a specific soundtrack with the film, because the music in the film is killer. You know, big shout out to Nite Smoke there. But yeah, really the music is so fun and solid, and like my executive producer, once I sent him a cut, he was like, what's your plan for like replacing all these songs? Like, you know, what are we gonna do? And I was like, no, we have the rights to use all these songs. We specifically sought out like local Chicago bands and like up and coming people that want to have the exposure, and like they're allowing us to use the songs for pretty cheap, and we're very thankful, you know. And he was like, you're kidding me. And I was like, no. He was like, it's such a baller soundtrack. And so I love that, because you know, there's so many classic films like that have such, like, especially in like the thriller, like the genre sphere, like trying to think of what some favorite soundtracks are. Like Jennifer's Body has a great one. There's tons that have so many great classic songs. And so
even Scream. I know I had
Scream
the
has so many fun ones. Yeah. And so yeah, that is the goal, is to continue in the tradition of many before us and have an awesome soundtrack.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm so excited. Yeah. Is there anything else that you're excited about or currently that you would like to plug? More short films that you have in places where people can watch
in
them?
places? Yeah, I mean, honestly, my life for the last 8 months has been departing seniors. I like cannot like. I'm really excited for in a week or two when it's actually done, and I can be like, and start like writing something new or working on something new. But I'm someone who, when the old project is still, you know, needs my TLC, I can't like walk away from that project. Mm-hmm. So I've been primarily doing that, but three of my short films I'm very proud of. Runner, which we talked about, Pickup, which is a romantic drama, and then After, which is also a romantic drama. Those are all on a YouTube channel called Omeleto, Omeleto, and I would love for people to watch them. And also, while you're there, there's lots of great horror shorts on that channel, and lots of like thrillers and things of that nature. So check them all out.
Yeah, that's my only plug. A reminder: all of being able to watching Claire stuff is free. You can watch those short films, it's all free, literally on the YouTube for free. So please do that. Especially Runner. I just thought that was so good.
Yeah, I love that one. And that's, you know, that's thriller, and that's like a quiet thriller, and that's like kind of that's what I want to do next. I think is like something in the thriller space that's like really quiet and intense, because Departing Seniors is so fun and like so loud and like so many characters and comedic and brash and has great soundtrack. But I think I want to get to something that's like a little closer to like Let the Right One in terms of its like tense nature, because that's I think where my heartbeat naturally lives as a creator. So yeah,
so cool. Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm excited to see Departing Seniors. I'm excited to see what you do next.
Thank you.
Please keep us updated on when or when and where we can see Departing Seniors, because
I shall. Yes,
pump the crap out of that shit. And yeah, thank you so much for taking some time to talk with us today, Claire.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It was a joy.
was the interview. Thank you so much. Please come back and watch more stuff. I love you. Bye.